these here for us. And then we go to the So I've got my blanks lined up here. I'm just going to cut both of them at once. The interesting thing about this chop saw, George, is this is the most expensive chop saw you'll ever see in your life. It's not that it cost me a lot of money, but it did cost me 35 years of my life. It's my 35-year anniversary present from my job. So my service award for 35 years. That sounds pretty bad, doesn't it? Anyway, here we go. I used to drill on a drill press, and it had a tendency, some blanks had a tendency not to drill as straight, so that sometimes it caused an issue. But these jaws hold this very secure. So that over here. And here we go. We're going to start the drilling process. Loosen that just a little bit. And the key here is especially with acrylics, is to go slow so it doesn't build up a lot of heat. And then you've got drilling the blank and lost a drill bit. And don't ask me how I know this, because let's just say we've learned from experience. When I first started this, I thought I was going slow enough and wound up. I was almost as excited as watching paint dry, George.
I have done that a time or two.
My drill bit's not quite long enough for this particular blank to do it from one position, so we're going to have to move this closer.
Okay.
Yeah, it was not a good ending. Normally I would have this on with the shop vac pulling this out, but I didn't want it to interfere with the video, so we're just going to learn to live without it today. It's kind of mesmerizing how the chips kind of just worm out of there, like a sci-fi movie or something.
Is it always this bit of thickness, Barry? Like that drill bit?
It's going to determine on what kit you use. Some kits will use a bigger drill bit. Yeah, the style of pin determines the hole, the size of the hole. Some are 3/8, some are 10. Sitting here watching you do this, watching you film, George, and the first thing I just remembered, the first thing I normally do is put my face shield on.
Oh, that's okay. we can get one with it. That's okay.
Okay, so now we're going to take it out and we're going to drill the other blank. since it's the same size bit. We're going to take it out and we're going to drill the other blank since it's the same size bit. And now I got a hole right through the middle.
Do that one more.
Okay, on to the next step. Make sure I can get that out of there without scratching my hand on the bit. I've done it. About that much will be enough, because you're going to use that much again in the other half, so you're going to wind up with twice as much as what you got there. That's scientifically, that's probably good enough.
Mm-hmm.
You're not going to get an exact match, but then you just got to mix it up till it turns kind of pearly, milky color, so you know you got a good mix. Okay, that's pretty good. So then I just take this popsicle stick and just smear it on about halfway, all the way around, about halfway up, and then we're going to take our blank. We're going to push that in and we're going to twist it as we push it in. We're going to push it in about halfway and pull it back out. And we're going to go in from the other side. And we're going to push, twist and push it in. And you can look and see it's in there about maybe a 1/16 or more, and then you got a little bit of extra on the end. And that's a good thing, because when we square this, and we just do the same with the other blank and tube. I've had pretty good success with this method, because you want to get a good coverage on the inside of your tube and blank so that there's no pockets of air. So
I'm gonna pan down to what you're doing.
pretty happy with that. So a lot of times if I'm out here, for 2 or 3 hours, I'll bring my iPad out here and I'll stick it on this thing and I'll watch Netflix, something off of
While you're doing it,
just
yeah.
to keep me company. So I thought, well, I've seen 3 episodes of this, so I've been out here about an hour and a half.
Like one of the last few times. So even to show the progression, because earlier it was blocked by itself,
Right.
and now it's it's got a perfect hole through it, and so after this it changes dramatically, because then you start doing the shape of the pen, right?
Right. So, are you ready for me to start talking?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So all of my different pens take different size holes and bits. So here's an assortment of bits I have for different size pens. Here's one that is 27/64, and it's considerable. Different finishes, silver, and here's just some bulk tubes, extra tubes that I buy for like my label casting. You have to have it. So over the years I've collected just random stuff. I bought this oscillating belt sander. For the Tarrant County Sheriff's Department.
Yeah.
So I do these for the Sheriff's Department and the Fort Worth Police. I keep them in my car, turn them into a pen, obviously, the pens, and when I see an officer at the gas station or at the restaurant or whatever, I go up and give them one and say, thank you for your service, appreciate you guys. And you put them on the lathe and turn them, of course they turn around, all that square turns off of there. Here's one I did for the Burleson Police Department. I haven't turned that one yet, obviously, but yeah. So these are just different stages of completion. Here's a laser inlay of the state of Texas, the star, and the star is laser cut in there. Probably I'll turn that one and put it in my repertoire to sell. Yeah, that's just kind of where we're at. That's what got me into it. I thought, well, if I start now, by the time I retire, I'll be halfway good at it. So ready-made size, you buy them in bulk like this and cut them down for different size pins. This one is a 10 millimeter. You got 7 millimeters in different lengths, 8 millimeters. This would be, if I messed up the kit like we're working on today, I would just come and cut one of these tubes to the right size and start over. So here's a block of buttons that I poured in resin. I do seam rippers. Here's some colored pencils that I've cast. I've made some pins out of colored pencils. These tend kind of be a little bit tricky to turn because the little bits and pieces sometimes will come flying off at you. That's always fun. Something comes spinning at you at 100 miles an hour.
Even some Legos, huh?
Yeah, I've got some Lego blanks in there somewhere.
Yeah, I saw them right here.
There's some shredded money I've used to turn. I think this is actually Canadian money, if I'm not mistaken. It may be United States. No, this is the United States money.
That's cool. So basically, once it's in resin, I mean, you can make a pen.
Yeah,
you just have to make that shape.
Yeah, and here's Legos. That's kind of a funky little thing because it's got a lot of pockets and voids in it. But it'll turn into a pen. It may not look like Legos when it's done because it's all, but
that's cool.
Some of this didn't turn out real good up here at the top, but there's enough there to make a pen out of. Some old blue jeans I cut up and pressed together, and it's actually pretty hard, but it's huge. It's like a small football, like the size of a Nerf football, but it's got all these little holes in it and stuff, and resin gets down in there. It's pretty awesome looking. Here's one that's kind of a confetti looking type of thing. Just different. Here's some that came from a guy that worked at the Kenworth factory, and when they go in and clean out the paint booths every so often, and they get cool pins. If you know anybody that's into honeycomb and bees and all that kind of stuff.
Oh yeah.
Design going down. And it's whatever you can imagine. At a tree, and you see this big knot sticking off of the side of a tree. That's the burl. It's kind of like where the branch started to grow, but it didn't break through in this maple. Whereas in a burl, there's no grain pattern. It's just kind of all. This wood here is real pretty. It's called Purple Heart. And it grows, I think over in Africa. This is olive wood. This is a very beautiful wood when it's turned, and it's got a real sweet smell to it. It fills the shop with this really sweet smell. I don't really know what else to show you.
No, that's great, Barry.
Let me see. Let me do
The disc?
Yeah. Because the next step in this process is to sand the ends of those blanks. I kind of got that from work because all of our toolboxes are shallow. My grandfather passed away in 1929 from pneumonia, so my dad was only like 4 years old. So I never met the man. Okay, so the next step we're running, right? The next step is to clean out the inside of these tubes and make sure we get all the glue out of the epoxy from inside the tube, because there is just a little bit from when we pushed it in there. And then we'll set up the sanding disc on it, and we'll square the ends of these blanks, and then we'll turn them. So out. And it's usually just right on the end. And you can see, I don't know if you can see that on camera or not, but you can see there's shiny, the tube is shiny inside this tube to sand it. And if it slides in there good like that with no resistance, we're pretty much good to go.
Nice.
So we'll clean up the other one as well. And the drill chuck on the other end pops in here like this, and it doesn't have to be tight. It needs to be kind of snug, but I like to kind of rotate it as I'm sanding, so I don't tighten it down with the chuck. I just kind of snug it up so I can it still holds it true, but I can still move it back and forth like this. So then that pops on there like that, and then we'll slide this up and turn this on. It's gonna be kind of loud because I'm. So this lathe has reverse, and I like to sand in reverse because it blows all the dust away from me. And I'm gonna turn on this vacuum. Hopefully it'll capture most of the dust. Run this up. I just rotate this around. Collecting most of the dust, but it doesn't collect 100%. We've got a little bit further to go. Right there. That's it for that side. And we're going to do this side. That's how it is. Yeah, there we go. So then what I like to do, if I can find it, take this bar and knock that piece out. It just turns by itself. It's got bearings in there. And that goes on this side. That. Each particular pen kit has its own set of bushings. These little things right here. These are the bushings for this particular kit, and what we're going to do is we'll insert this into the tube, and we'll turn each end down to where it meets these bushings on the ends, and that will give us the right diameter we need, so that when we press the kit together, it all flows smoothly. There's not a big ridge or a bump or a lump or something like that. And then whatever we want to do on the inside, if we want to make it curves and do any kind of fancy stuff on between the two, that's entirely up to whoever's doing the turning. And then we'll suspend it between these two centers.
Ready? Okay,
so I've set my dust chute up here. I've got this, nothing's hitting everything, and we're going to turn it on regular direction. We're going to turn it up to, I think on this setting, it'll turn about 1700 RPM. And we're going to hit that yellow button right there, George, in the middle of the button right there. And here we go. Hold on to your seatbelt. When I get this close sometimes, and I'd say, oh, yeah, I can go just a little bit more, I can just go a little bit more. I'll hiccup or I'll breathe funny or whatever, and it'll catch, and it's lost right there. All that. You can lay the sandpaper on top and let the weight of the let the sandpaper do all the work. And we got some more slush on there, so we'll just kind of clean that off, spray that off. We'll wipe this down. At this point, all of our tool marks are gone, and we're just removing the scratches smaller and finer and finer. We're sanding out all the 400 grit scratches. We'll do this for a few seconds. Application process. We'll typically turn the speed up on it a little bit. I'm probably closing in on 750 or 800 maybe.
Yeah, that's great.
So here we go. This is with the polish on it.
Have been, and the kids are to an age where it's rubbed off on them a little bit, and so they mentioned it. They're like, we should go to a concert, and I said, you know what, yes, let's do it.
You know, it's funny you should mention that. When we back in 2009, 2008, 2009 or something like that, we got a and it's going to hold it tight and secure. And we're going to move it down just a little bit. While we still got this thing set in that position, when this gets done, we'll take that one off and put the other one on and do it, and it'll be set this way as well. It really looks like it needs to. And this is how you do it. You just rub it in there like that. Or you can get this stuff everywhere. I'll get the heat in and we'll put some heat to that. Against this background. George.
Oh, that is cool. Let me try to get on this side. Oh, there we go. That's great, man.
On the middle belt speed setting that will give me a range from 550 to 1650. Okay, let's try that. And this is Mercury Adhesives Medium Flex CA glue. And this is pretty much formulated for pin turners, really. And I'll just wipe it back and forth a couple times and let that harden. And you know it's ready to go for the next one because this stripe right here will get rock hard in just about 15 to 20 seconds. So I'll just do the same process, do a couple swipes across there and let that dry. Here's coat number 3. Okay, we'll let that set for just a few minutes. There's some light shining, reflecting off of there pretty good. It's still kind of tacky to the touch. When I touch it, the shine goes away. So it's, but there's, so if I was ready to start to polish these with the polishing pads, I would hit it with an accelerator before I started messing with it, or it'll just gum up everything. I've also not waited for this to harden like I should and done another coat, and it's still too tacky, and it'll just wrap that thing around it and it'll just be a fuzz ball. And then you don't have a choice but to sand it all off and start all over. So I've learned to be a little bit patient. I'm trying to keep it moving so that I don't sand through the whole thing. Let's turn it off and see it. We'll go back and forth across it this way. Here's some of those. There's still got some ridges in there. Are you picking up those contrasts of the shiny and the dull right into there, George? Okay. Now, there's still some. I'm still getting a little bit of a milky slurry off of there, so it's still polishing on the, still taking off a little bit of the finish, but as long as we don't. I'm going to turn it off and just dry it off and take a look at it and see how it looks. Yeah, it's starting to kind of shine up a little bit. Sometimes you can't really tell if it's water or if it's some of those lines that didn't polish out until you rub it. It's looking good, George. All right, there we got it, sports fans. It even squeaks. I was always told that you could tell when your hair was clean when it squeaks. When you do a CA finish, it has a tendency to leave like a little fingernail of finish on the very end. That looks good. That looks good. I'm looking down inside doing. The pencil has a kind of a different step, but it's not a compression, it's a press fit. So you just get them lined up and press it together with this little. that's that. Fit. And what I do typically when I've got a name on there is I will arrange the clip to where it's about 90 degrees off of the name, because you don't want. We're going to give that a nice little squeeze. Nice clean transition from the component to the blank, and vice versa. Which order you put all these in, as far as, I mean, it depends on, it makes a difference where it goes, but as far as the sequence, and the tip goes in here, because this tube is as long as it is, the manufacturer supplied this little Teflon spacer that goes in here to make up the difference, to make it the right length. And then the spring goes on there like that, and then the end just screws on here like this. So that if I'm right, even with the closed, if I'm right, it'll write. So this thing right here, I can take this part over to my belt sander, and but they wouldn't know how to fix it. So I'm gonna pop that back in there like that. Very rugged, and I think she'll like it.